Okay, we spent a lot of time talking about the difference between humans and animals, and the main reason we've done this is because by making this comparison between a human being and an animal, well, for one thing, we see very clearly how special the human person is, and also we see a second thing we see is how when we act like animals, we fall into a world that shouldn't, things we do things we shouldn't do. And traditionally, when the human person acts like an animal in the Christian world, that's referred to as sin. It's considered an act that is ultimately, you know, enters into a world of evil. So we want to talk a little bit more about this distinction because of it, how important it is. So what we've been saying is that for the animal, for example, the monkey can, you know, take a stick and go into an ant hole and, use the stick to get the ants out. Take the stick to get the ants out. But the monkey doesn't know the stick as anything apart from his urge to get the ants. It's simply something to get the ants. He doesn't he's not able to think about the stick in itself. He can't think about the stick separate from his urge. Okay? He cannot think about the stick separate from his urge. All right? It's just like the dog and the in the handle. It just leaps on the handle so it can get outside. Its consciousness is totally, completely absorbed in the urge to get outside. He doesn't think about the handle as a handle. Uh, so, so for the animal, every object in the world is reduced to a sense relationship. All right, the world for the animal is reduced to a sense relationship. But for us, it's just the opposite because we're self-aware and we can wonder. We know a stick as a stick. Okay, we know a door handle as a door handle. We know things as they exist apart from us in themselves. Okay, so the human knows things as they exist apart from us in themselves. So because I can do that, because of my self-awareness and wonder and free will gives me this capacity to know the object as it is in itself and not just reduced to my sense experience, I can take a stick that I'm using as a tool and make it into a better tool. And I can think about, well, how can I sharpen this thing or make it longer or stronger so that I can use it in my hunt? This is not being trapped in sense experience because now I'm thinking about the tool as it is in itself. I'm thinking about the length of it, how I can make it more accurate, I'm thinking about sharpness and how I can design it and all these kinds of things. I have transcended in my making of the tool. I have transcended my sense experience. Okay, I've gone beyond it. I've escaped it. I've shattered the alreadiness, the immediacy, the pure immediacy of sense experience in the act of knowing. Okay, the act of knowing. The act of knowing transcends the cage of sense experience. All right. So that's the big difference we want to try to articulate and make very, very clear. Okay, so here's the problem. The problem is that you and I are not pure knowers, which means we're also animals. So we have urges just like the monkeys, just like an animal has an urge, we have urges. And we can decide to live a life that basically is simply the satisfaction of our urges, or we can live a life that's based on a higher way of living, which is based on understanding what truth is and then living in accordance to truth. So, that's the basic war that exists within the human person. So, what we're trying to say is this: the human person is constituted by a war, a battle within himself. There's a war. There's a war or a battle that exists within our being. Okay, it's a struggle. There's a struggle within ourselves, and we're going to call this struggle the struggle between what we're going to refer to as the struggle between desire and passion. That's what we're going to call the two things: desire and passion. Now, what we mean by desire is a world where we simply feed our immediate urges. Okay, we simply are in a world. The world of desire. What is in the world of desire? What is most important is me. What is most important is me and the satisfaction of what I want. Satisfaction of what I want. All right? The world of passion is just the opposite. The world of passion is where I acknowledge something in the world as greater than myself, okay? Greater than myself. It's greater than myself, and it deserves my reverence and respect and devotion and love. All right? The thing is, it's greater than myself. It represents an alterity. Alterity that deserves my devotion. Deserves my devotion, obligation, respect, reverence. So what we're going to say is that the human person, in their essence, is a constant struggle between these opposite principles. There's a constant struggle in the human person between desire and passion. All right. And this constant struggle between desire and passion that exists in the human person is permanent, never goes away. Permanent, never goes away. And we're going to say that insofar as we give into our desires, our immediate desires, our selfishness, this is a world of selfishness. That world of selfishness, the world of desire, is what is called in Christianity, it's called basic sin. Basic sin. And the world of passion, where we acknowledge what's greater than ourselves and we surrender and sacrifice for what's greater than ourselves, that is known as the world of morality. This is the moral order. That's doing the right thing. It's a rejection of sin. Rejection of sin. All right, now this struggle that we have, between desire and passion, that struggle in philosophy is referred to as a dialectic. Dialectic. A dialectic is the struggle that exists between the battle, the war that exists between desire and passion. Now, for us, because we want to articulate this dialectic, the word desire for us in our class will always be pejorative, meaning negative. This will be a pejorative word. Okay? Negative. And the word passion will be always positive, always good. Now, this use of the word desire as pejorative, that's unique as far as our discussion goes. Like, many philosophers will use the word desire to actually mean passion. So, like one contemporary philosopher that I read a lot, this guy named Lonergan, he's a Jesuit. Bernard Lonergan, he says that the human person is constituted by the pure desire to know. Okay? He calls it the pure desire to know. We have this pure desire to know. Science is all about the pure desire to know. It just wants to find out stuff. And we're saying the pure desire to know is really what we're calling that the act of wonder, okay? So what Lonergan's talking about when he talks about the pure desire to know, what he's really talking about is what we're calling passion, okay? So he's not using the word desire in a pejorative way. But we will be. Whenever we say the word of desire, we mean there is no uh, desire to know. We're saying that desire is selfish. It's all about feeding the immediate urge, taking care of the self. All right, it's self-centered. All right, so we're not using the word desire in any kind of positive way. It's always going to be kind of a negative connotation. All right, passion is our positive word. So we would call the pure desire to know. Really, we would say the pure passion to know. That's what we would call it. The pure passion to know. All right, now a great example of. Oh, wait a minute. Let me talk about dialectic for a second. What is meant by dialectic? All right, what does that word mean? All right, there's three principles to dialectic. Number one, there's opposite principles that are fighting one another. Okay, these opposite principles. Number one, opposite principles. Opposite principles are at war. All right, number two. These opposite principles of desire and passion are linked together within us. They're linked together. And the reason they're linked together within us is because we're both animal and wanderer. See? We're animal and wanderer. We're animal and we're knower. And because we have these two capacities, we have the desire and passion is linked within both of us. Now, the third aspect of dialectic is very important. Number three. And that is that this struggle within us between desire and passion, what it's ultimately seeking is the victory of passion. All right? There's the opposite principles, desire and passion. They're linked together inside of us because we're both animal and we're transcendent wanderer. And number three, okay? Number three here, the ultimate purpose of the dialectic is the victory of passion. So passion represents what we ought to do. It's the higher world. So in other words, the dialectic is always resolved through embracing passion. There's a resolution to this war, and the resolution is a yes to passion. All right? The resolution is when we say yes, when we choose the world of love, passion, morality. Okay? We're made for morality. Now, so we're saying a lot of stuff here. We're making a lot of claims, right? Now, look, here's another thing. Because we're ultimately made to denounce our immediate desires and embrace a higher world of passion. We're made to do that because of our natural self awareness and wonder and choice, okay? We say that passion, the world of passion for the human person, we say that's normative. Normative. Now, what normative means is it's a very specific definition of the word normative. Normative means what ought to be. What ought to be. Okay? So the word normative is completely equal to the word ought. What ought to be, what should be. Okay? So we're saying because we're directed by a higher order in the hierarchy, we transcend the animal kingdom of immediate urges. We are driven by renouncing our desires and selfishness to move towards a world of passion, embrace the world of passion through the dialectical struggle. And that act of saying no to desire and yes to passion is what's normative in the human person. It's what we ought to do, what we should do. And insofar as we reject what's normative, the rejection of normativity is referred to as sin. Okay? That rejection. The rejection of what's normative is called sin. All right? And sin, of course, is a real possibility for the human person. All right. All right, I want to give you like a really easy example of the difference between desire and passion. All right, so very simple, everyday, ordinary example. All right. So here I am, and here's this girl. Now, let's say I meet this girl and we start to like each other, and there's like a certain intimacy that exists, right? There's like it's like a romantic relationship, okay? Romantic. There's a intimacy there. She likes me, I like her. All right, now through the world of desire, I can reduce this relationship simply to the satisfaction of some kind of sexual urge. Okay, I can take this person, and insofar as I am ruled by desire, insofar as I let myself be ruled by desire, I can choose to reduce her to simply the satisfaction of a sexual urge. I can reduce her to my satisfaction, my immediate satisfaction. So if I'm in an intimate relationship with a girl, a woman, and I simply make her an object of sexual gratification, okay? I make her an object of sexual gratification. Then I've reduced her to the world of desire, and notice that I'm basically acting like an animal. Or I can, you know, control my these sexual urges and not reduce her to just my world of satisfaction. And I can see her as a person. Okay, I can see her as an other, a real person. I can see her as a real person that deserves my respect. Now, if I choose to see her as a real person that deserves my respect, my devotion, my loyalty, um, okay, that's the world of passion. Because now I'm choosing to love her. Okay, what do I mean by I'm loving her? I'm seeing her as something that's higher, greater than my immediate urges. That uh, deserves reverence. Okay, so that's the world of passion, where love is made real, and it's grounded in the fact that now I see her as something sacred, the sacred reality that deserves devotion and respect. Okay, I'm not simply reducing her down to me. Okay, she's an alterity, she's an otherness that I'm called to surrender my devotion to. Alterity. Surrender to in a world of devotion. And you can notice how these things are dialectically opposed. If I simply reduce her down to my sexual gratifications, she's just the object to be used. She becomes an object to be used. All right. In the world of passion, it's just the opposite. She cannot be reduced down to some kind of practical world of gratification. She transcends all of that. She's something uniquely, other and distinct. That the only thing that makes any sense is to give her a kind of veneration, as I say, an adoration. She deserves my adoration. She deserves my adoration.